All right, today we're out walleye fishing. This is gonna be a raw, uncut, unedited video. We're just gonna go out, chase some walleyes on a local lake. There's a little bit of wind today. Seems like it should be pretty reasonable conditions. It's not bluebird skies, so we're just gonna chase some walleyes, and this is just gonna be the raw, real thing. You're gonna see me miss some fish. You're gonna see walleyes turn me down. That'll for sure happen. And hopefully you're gonna get some good information just watching this video. So you can watch this video actively, you can put it on in the background, and if you hear me get excited about something, you can just rewind 10 seconds and watch or whatever, but watch this however you want. I'm just gonna go out fishing and I'm gonna talk through it too, so this isn't just gonna be a boring thing where you're looking at my butt the whole time. I got a couple cameras, I got live scope recording, and I've also got a map recording. Hopefully that will work. I have it zoomed in so you don't necessarily get to see exactly where I'm fishing, but you get a general feel for the contours. So without further ado, let's look around. So I just pulled up to a spot that kind of looks good. I haven't fished this particular spot in a couple years, so hopefully we can find some walleyes that are willing to bite for you here. Ooh, there's one right away. Yeah, so this is just kind of a fishy spot here. I just kind of dropped the boat. So boat control is always a big deal when you're fishing with forward-facing sonar as well. Those look like pretty solid marks. So right away we got some fish on the screen, which helps. Could make this video a little bit more entertaining if they're willing to go. But you know what I should do? I should rig up my drop shot rig. This is such a classic drop shot fish. So right now I just have a jig and a crawler. Usually I start with that, just because it's such a universal presentation that you can kind of fish in all types of scenarios. If there's fish halfway down, great. If they're on the bottom, great. Jig and crawler can kind of handle all of it. But those guys were not even willing to move an inch for you there. So let's see if we can make one more flip on them. Usually if they don't move on you, that's actually a pretty good sign that you're dealing with walleyes and not bass. But I will also say I'm usually not a big fan of trying to chase down walleyes to try and make them bite. And it's, you know, say whatever you want, you know, whether you think that's like an okay thing to do. I just don't think it's very effective usually. Sometimes if there's a big fish, like a second cast, making a second cast on it can help. But more often than not, I would say if a fish isn't gonna bite the first time, she probably doesn't have a good attitude. So, that's that. That's kind of my philosophy on how many times you cast these fish, but let's get on the move here. As you can see out to our right, I got it pointed to the right, we have some clumps of weeds, and I like to look kind of off of those weeds a little bit. That tends to be key. So there's a little fish right there in that clump. Gotta be a bass probably. There's another fish out to our left here. I think maybe we'll try and put a good cast on him. That's another low one. You know, before we go any further, I'm gonna set the jig and crawler off to the side here. We're gonna grab a drop shot. If we are gonna be seeing a number of fish that are close to the bottom like that, I like to have a drop shot ready. And when I say ready, I mean, I like to have a night crawler on it. If we find that the fishing is hot and heavy, we'll almost certainly switch to plastics at some point today. But for now, the cameras are rolling and I just want to get us bit. And presentations like this are great for small fish, they're great for big fish. A lot of times when I'm using plastics, I'm actually targeting bigger fish specifically. They can be really, really effective fishing around weeds, you know, casting at bigger marks and stuff. But Okay, let's try and cast at this one right here, since we're already so close. Let me get the boat pointed in the right direction. Point it up towards the up into the wind. Okay, so it's right there. There's actually 2 of them there now. Not very far. 20 feet is not very far away. So that one's gonna land. It's gonna land right on them. I'm gonna slow the fall a little bit as I take it past them, but we're still gonna work that bait right to the bottom. And our little buddies there didn't follow us. We may go and look at these ones out there though. They're suspended around 80 out. Let's just work this drop shot just a second, just in case I missed that fish coming down for it. All right, let's keep moving along here. We're not gonna spend too much time on any one fish, like I had mentioned before. Okay. Let's go out and, that looks like a nice size mark though, doesn't it? Let's, where did those suspendos go? There's a couple. Maybe those were the same fish we were looking at. They're definitely out and around bait. There's no shortage of bait out right now. Sometimes that's a positive, sometimes that's a negative. A lot of times it's a negative, honestly. Usually the fish that is not well fed is the fish that's going to be more likely to bite your lure. That's a big thing too. I was listening to some tournament results from the National Walleye Tour, and one of the keys that the guy was talking about was just the fact that, let's see, sort of in the zone there, but one of the biggest keys was finding areas of the lake. I think it was Green Bay they were talking about, finding areas of the lake where there was less bait, because I guess there was just so much bait. But there was less bait in some areas. All right, let's get repositioned here and keep on moving. So that can be a big thing too. Like, it's sort of notorious, like when you go to different lakes, like Mille Lacs, and it's like, oh, how has the bite been on Mille Lacs? Well, there's a lot of bait in there. So something to think about too. So we're obviously going to keep on working this area and try and find a few more fish that we can make good casts on. I'm going to throw a drop shot at this guy right on that weed chunk. But if we're finding that we're getting turned down like crazy, we may go to an area where there's less bait. Or see if we can find an area with less bait, I should say. Okay, so we're kind of right on the edge there. Oop, he's moving on it. So this is going to be interesting for sure too. Some of these fish that we're going to see by the weeds are bass. So it's not always a guarantee that we're casting at walleyes when we get a little shallower like that. It is interesting though, on this particular lake, the weeds have grown out really nicely. So there are some weeds in a little bit deeper water. And a lot of the times the fish are going to be just holding up in those weeds, so more around them. So right now we're kind of on like a main lake hump. You can't necessarily see the whole structure on the map right now on the screen, but this is kind of a hump. And we're just sort of off the edge here. As you can see, like, we're seeing some weeds, but you can also see the access to deeper water here. So we're gonna look for bigger marks. You may see me pass up and not even mention some smaller marks. Oftentimes those are probably bluegills or bass, or you know, they could be a walleye that I just missed. But sometimes I will miss some things. But that being said, I like to just cover water. I like to have a bias towards speed. And when I am off the edge like this, I like to target fish that are usually suspended a little bit higher. This guy's low, but I think just based on the boat position, I'm gonna just make a little pitch at him quick, because why not? Let's see, I was pretty close to him. Within a few feet. But I'm not seeing him moving on it. That's probably an eater-sized walleye hugging on the side there, or hugging on the bottom there. But we're gonna make one more pitch, just cause. Let's see if we can put it right on top of his head. Okay, so I cast a little past him there. I can kind of swing it in his general direction. So this is the drop shot in case you guys missed it. Okay, now the drop shot is just right in the stinking zone here. And I don't see him really moving at all. So we are probably gonna pass him up. We'll give him another second here to maybe make a move. But that is a walleye for you. I don't know if you guys have ever walleye fished, but they're not always super active. If you wonder why guys complain about not getting their limits of walleyes, it's because sometimes they act like that. So we're gonna keep on going here. Definitely some bait clouds in the area. But we're just kind of gonna cover water on the outside here. And you could make the argument that maybe I could pre-fish for a video like this, but I thought it would be more authentic to just go out and try and find the walleyes. And I think that's a better way to do it. You know, I could have went out and found a little pot of fish and just kind of casually fished over to it. But no, this is real. This is the truth. Okay, that is not an enormous mark, but it definitely is very likely to be a walleye. We'll see if he's a hungry walleye. What do you guys think? Is he gonna bite? Hope he's definitely moving on it. And he just decided he wanted to look at it. He decided that wasn't gonna be his lunch today. So that is a perfect example of a perfect cast and a walleye that just said, I don't think so. So it looks like there's a little bit of rough weed on the bottom here. Some bait. So like this right here, that's a cloud of bait, of course. And then there's a walleye right there. So there's a walleye pretty dang close to that bait. It's really weird. Some days you won't see any walleyes anywhere close to bait. You find an area with bait and it's like, wow, we're gonna be on the pattern of not fishing areas where there's no bait, because, you know, they just disappear out of those areas. But other days, like today, it seems like a lot of the walleyes are around where the bait is. So it doesn't sound like rocket science, but I've seen so many times where there's no walleyes in the area. No walleyes in the area where all the bait is. Oop. Grabbed onto it there. He kind of dropped down to the bottom, as you guys saw in the scope there. Sort of disappeared. He wasn't that far off the bottom for starters, but he was still there, and he did grab the night crawler just for a half a second. I'm gonna work this here in place just for another moment, but I'm kind of gonna scan around and see if there's anything close while I'm jigging. Okay. Oops. All right. We did get a little crap on the bait there too. But I did feel a thump. It wasn't just me grabbing leaves, I swear. Okay, so right now we're kind of sneaking into a little bit of a bowl area. And oftentimes you'll find fish kind of suspending in these little areas. And let's see if we can find any fish. So we're not in a scenario where I think it's going to be as many like big single suspended marks. What I'm kind of hoping to see is like a few marks, like 3 good size marks or 2 good size marks. So there's one. No, there's 2. I like how high those guys are in the water column. Sometimes you'll find walleyes just like a few feet below the surface. Oh, they're kind of crashing their way down. But yeah, I love the ones that are like, so we're in 30 feet of water right now. I love the walleyes that are like 10 feet down over 30. That's just a super fun depth. There they are. Wow, they're really ooh, what's going on there? They're really moving. They're moving very quickly. And that is one of the downs. Look at them. Are they chasing that pot of bait and attacking it? I better get our bait out right now. There they are. Walleyes that are chasing bait fish, I guess to finish that thought, tend to be really mobile walleyes. So they can be trickier to track down and make good casts on because they're just moving. But it doesn't mean we can't try. Where did they go? They're all the way, okay. We're just gonna chase these fish around. I mean, that's gonna be too much work. So let's just keep moving here. But I guess so far, I mean, I don't know how long we've been doing this. I don't see on the screen there, but you definitely get a feel for the fact that live scope doesn't make it a guarantee. It can still be tricky. I also may pick us up and go to a completely different area, fire up the big engine. I'll probably do that really soon if we don't get something fun and interesting here. I may fast forward the boat ride because I don't really necessarily see why you guys need to watch in real time as the boat goes across the lake. That's just going to take a lot of time. But aside from that, there's going to be no cutting or editing in this video, so it's going to be real and authentic. And if we don't catch any fish for the first 45 minutes, it is what it is. But I promise you at some point we are gonna get on a good school of fish and catch some of them. Sometimes that's all it takes. Okay, so I'm not seeing much here, kind of in this bowl. There's one. We could take a rip at that fish. You can just see. Just see. Let's get a little closer. Let's get him to about 40 feet. Well, that's going to be an effective cast. Oh, that fish definitely pushed down to the bottom when the boat got a little bit closer to it. You can kind of still see him. You can kind of still see him down there, but I do think the boat kind of getting a little bit closer to it did impact the mood of that fish. That fish wasn't like super highly suspended, but yeah, interesting. Let's just kind of scan around while we're jigging it. I have the night crawler basically sitting right on the bottom at the moment. Yeah, that fish totally disappeared. Okay, we're gonna go somewhere different. So we're gonna reel up. I'm gonna take my jig and go home. No, we're not going home, but we're gonna make a little bit of a run to a different section of the area where the fishing is gonna be totally different, where everything is gonna look different. And we'll give that a try. So I'm gonna fire up the big engine here and run us over there. All right, new spot. New spot. All right. So it looks like we're sitting at about 20 right now. All right, I've only got one map chip at the moment. So I got to, I don't know what happened to my other one. It might still be in my snowmobile. But I gotta switch the map over here quick into this unit, and we're gonna keep on looking. We're gonna keep on chugging. It's like a little bit of short weeds here. The weeds do not run as deep or as thick in this spot, it looks like. A couple of fish right there. Let's see if they're walleye. See if they'll bite. We're sort of right on top of them. We kind of landed on them when we dropped the boat off plane. Probably walleye since they didn't bite. All right, let's keep on looking though. I like that we saw a fish right away. Or a couple fish, I should say. There we go. Oh wait, is that a weed? That's a weed. Big old stalk of weed. There's a suspended fish. It's not coming back as a big mark though, so we're gonna keep moving. Couple smaller marks. Definitely got some bass vibes right there. Oop, I like that. That's the flavor we're looking for. All right. I do, I really like that. 17 feet, so this is a decidedly shallower spot. All right, where did that jig go? There it is. So we got a good cast, but is one of them going to grab it is the question. And the answer to that question, oh, the answer is, come on. The answer is no. The answer is no, sir. The answer is we got a tough start to this video, but that's okay. There's a little pot of fish. See what we can do with those marks. Is that the flavor we're looking for? Oh wow. If it is, they're pretty aggressive. At least that one was that came up and looked at us. They're being tricky buggers. They're not being easy on us, that's for sure. Let's make one more little flip into that pod. We got that one coming down to look. Come on, buddy. Just one time. Give it to us. Oh, he got it. There we go. All right. We're officially on the board. Hopefully it's a walleye. I think it's a walleye though. I think we're dealing with the right species here. I'm gonna boat flip him. Ooh, dangerously boat flip our first walleye of the video. There we go. All right, well, you guys get to look and see what a walleye looks like on live scope. That one just went for the jig and the crawler. Popped right out, which is helpful. And yeah, this is gonna be, I mean, this is a great eater size fish right there. A little beauty, kind of like a high teener. You can see too here, it's got some mud in the gill plate, which is cool. It kind of tells you this fish has probably likely been in the mud digging around looking for bugs. So there you have it. That's the first fish of the video. Not bad. Now, too bad that didn't happen 5 minutes into the video. But like I said before, despite what the Instagram comments say. Live scope is not cheating. It doesn't make it a guarantee. And it isn't always easy. It's a good thing we took a second throw into that pot of fish too. Just because, man, if it's a single fish, sometimes I'll make a second cast, but if it's a pod like that, sometimes you gotta give them a second chance. Sometimes, one thing that's critical is like some people will say like, oh man, this next generation doesn't know about casting angles and they don't know about, you know, all these different things, and it's like, man, there's nothing more important than casting angles sometimes with these fish. So just because someone's got new tech doesn't mean they don't know the importance of casting angles. Sometimes I'm gonna make a better cast. I'm gonna take a better angle at these fish. Sometimes you throw into a pod like that and you just need to make another pitch in there, give the fish a different look, a different angle, different casting angle, and that can make all the difference. All right, there we are, going down at about 30. The fish are kind of swarming it. Just gonna kind of work the bait there on the bottom again. Let's see. A couple of them are over there, but looks like a couple are still right there by my bait. Okay, we're gonna make another pitch. We're gonna see if we can knock one more fish out of this little area. I'm not sure if these fish were the same pot of fish, but still definitely in the same vicinity. That was a good cast. We'll see if they're just gonna swim away from it. Looks like they're swimming, yeah, they're already 10 feet away from it since I made the cast. Another great option this time of year is a bobber. We're gonna keep on moving along. We don't need to make another cast at those fish. But when fish are kind of moving around like this, but how do you not make another cast? They're just right there. We'll do one more cast. But when fish are moving around like this, bobbers are not as effective. They take a little bit longer to get set up. It takes a second to adjust the depth of your bobber, just depending on, you know, if you're seeing a lot of fish that are kind of stacked up at one specific depth zone, bobbers can be absolutely deadly. But that's why I love the jig. It's so incredibly versatile. All right, there's a few right there. I'll let the wind slow the boat down a little bit. But there they are still, right at 40. Yeah, they definitely know it's there. We'll see if any of them grab it. If they're gonna be tricky. I'm not really tracking them on the live scope because I know I'm in the right zone here. No go. Let's keep moving. Gotta get a fresh crawler on there too. All right, let's crawl her up. It was a little bit mangled from that first fish. So we were kind of due for a new one, but it was holding on there pretty decent. So I just like to thread him up there kind of like a plastic. I know you can't see the sun. I know you can't see it on the camera, but I will do a video on just kind of the best ways to hook night crawlers and stuff. That will be a video at some point that I will do. Pinch off about 1/4 or 1/3 of the crawler just to shorten it up a little bit. Kind of makes it so the bait doesn't foul as much. Let's see. There's a single right there. We're gonna pass him by. See if we can find us another little pod out here on the end of the structure. So right now, what does the map look like? You don't get to see a lot on the map at the moment. I'll zoom it out a little bit. Right now we're sort of on like the end of it, like a tip. Kind of the tip of a point would be the best way to describe it. And there is some of that bait. But not only is it like the tip of a point, it's almost a little bit of a saddle section. And I just love saddles this time of year. If you watched any of my videos recently where I was talking about location, you know I'm a big saddle guy. And it's not because I like horses. I don't know that I like horses. I might like horses. I don't have strong opinions on horses. But I do know that walleyes love saddles. Deep saddles that don't have any cover on them, great. Shallower saddles that have weeds on the top of them, walleyes love hanging out around the sides of them. So saddles are great. Big saddle fan. Looks like some small marks there on the bottom. We're gonna let those pass us by. We're kind of looking for pods of fish that are a little higher and more suspended up. Suspended up a little better than that. Yeah, that's kind of the same deal right there. Sometimes those can be walleyes, but if there's one thing you kind of learn using this technology is you don't have to throw at everything you see. Weed clump that was popping up there. I got the sun kind of shining on my screen, so it's a little tricky at the moment. So right now we're kind of climbing up the side of this gradual tapering point. And there's an inside, oop, right there's a walleye, I think. Or was that a little puff of bait? Oh no, a couple little walleyes right there. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying that I kind of think there's gonna be some walleyes sort of on the inside corner of this. Where are they at? There they are, 40 feet. That dog will hunt. I don't like to do too much with my trolling motor as far as moving the boat. Once the cast has been made, I don't want to spook those fish. But I'll try and track with the live scope as good as I can. I'm kind of working that bait right there in between those two fish. And he just doesn't want to grab it. Right here, buddy. You can just grab it if you want. And I kind of drop it down to the bottom here, slowly. See if he'll nab it off the bottom. Looks like his buddy left. His buddy's like, I don't think so. I'm out. We're gonna drop it on a slack line here, set it on the bottom. No. No go. we decide to do an uncut video, a raw video, whatever you want to call this format. We decide to do that on a day where the walleyes have their lips closed. That's okay. It's kind of a normal walleye thing to do. So what we do is we keep on moving and we find hungry ones. So far we've had success with bigger schools of fish. We haven't had as much success with like the little pairs of walleyes. Okay, so now we're getting up to this inside corner here. This is kind of, there's a little bit of a steeper break. I was kind of curious if the walleyes were gonna be set up on this. Looks like there was one by that little clump of grass there. Definitely a little bit of bait hung up in this corner here. All right, we're just gonna follow this sharper break. There's definitely some bait out to our left here. Right on that break. Let's see if there's anything worth throwing at. I could definitely see the argument for throwing at those fish right there. $50. I'm gonna sort of pull the bait into that little crew there. They've got some bass vibes, if you ask me, but we're still gonna give it a try. One's got it. Don't be a bass. Don't be a bass. Not that bass aren't fun. I was just kind of hoping it's a school of walleyes. It is a school of walleyes. How about that? It is a school of eater-sized walleyes. There we go. Nice, beautiful walleye right there. That's walleye number 2 of this adventure. And it seems like no matter what, you always have to rebait after you catch a walleye in a crawler like that, but beauty. Some good action. All right, let's rig back up here with another crawler. So those fish were holding right on the edge there, which was kind of neat. There was a nice little pod of them. You could definitely get good on that pod, I'm guessing. We'll see if we can turn around and retarget some of those fish, but if they're gone, they're gone. Either way, it's kind of a cool experience to catch one of them off the edge there. That's kind of a classic walleye location. The way they set up like that. That's where most people are fishing for walleyes generally. In the kind of classic scenario, is right on the edge like that. Set up on that sharp break and toss a jig off the side of the boat. Okay, so it looks like there's probably a couple fish still right there. Yeah, definitely still a couple fish right there. Let's see if we can add to the bounty. Try and keep us in a good position. I might make another cast in there after this. There we go. Yeah, so this is pretty fun. I mean, it's a great example of just looking at different things, trying different things. You know, we were fishing more of a classic flat area, or just kind of like a tapering point, and it just goes to show you, if you're not seeing fish in one type of area, it pays to go. I gotta turn this thing's head so it doesn't keep digging me here. I'm gonna reach down and grab him just cause. She's about a half step up from that last one. More of a bigger undersized fish. So in the state of Minnesota here where I live, an under is constituted as anything under 20 inches. Oops. Anything under 20 inches. This thing is under 20 inches, but it's probably, you know, 18 or so. So it's kind of that next step up as far as the unders go. But yeah, what a beautiful specimen. Walleye number 3. We got a little something going here in this spot anyway. And we got to rebait again, of course. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I've been using plenty of bait this year. It's kind of been a fun season. I've been putting a lot more time in to specifically try and target larger walleye. And let's just say it's paid off. It's paid off pretty well so far. But the jig and the crawler has just been a weapon that I've been using a lot. A lot. So I'm kind of I've been dealing with crawlers quite a bit. And just seems like a great weapon if you're targeting fish that are kind of a little bit more suspended or variable depths. It's just so easy to grab a jig and cast it out and let it get to the depth that those fish are at, instead of having to reset a bobber or something like that. Looks like there is one fish still hanging up above the weeds here. I'm gonna drag it across his face. Let's see, it looks like he's not really moving on it. There's another one though too, or is that that's a weed. That last one was a fish. Okay. We're gonna look around a little bit more here, see if there's another school that we can, or maybe the same school that we can pick more off of. So there's a little mark off the top of there, but I'd like to see more than a mark. I'd like to see a few. That's another mark right there. This would be an interesting spot to pull spinners over for sure. I could definitely see that. I could also see possibly, there's a bunch of bait. I could also see nighttime trolling over this area, because those walleyes are going to stay somewhat close to, especially a spot like this. We got, looks like probably sand or something on the top of here, so they're going to hold right on this little strip of weeds. Let's cast into this. This might be the same school, possibly. There we go. Wind's picking up a little bit, which never hurt nobody, I don't think. Unless it gets really bad. Okay, we're kind of in the zone here with this fish again. This is a classic spot to toss a bobber though, holy cow. If we don't get bit on this cast, I think just for the fun of it, I'm gonna throw a leech on a bobber and see how that goes. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it real quick. Real quick like. One of the benefits of leeches is they're a lot less of a pain in the butt than a crawler is. But one of the problems with bobbers is now I'm gonna have to make sure that my bobber is set at the right depth too. But you can't tell me this juicy leech isn't something that a walleye wouldn't just gladly eat. We could put that on the back of the jig too, but I kind of I want to dangle a bobber in their face. Sounds fun. Okay. So we got a big giant, oh, we got some really nice leeches. Secretly, I've been doing all these videos recently with crawlers just so I can convince enough people to use crawlers and not use leeches. Okay, so then the bait shops will actually have leeches in stock. Okay, so this is set at like 13 feet. That's actually gonna be perfect. Look at that, we don't even have to change it. Where's that school? Right there. Okay, we're gonna run it right in front of their face here. Kerplunk. We actually might be set a little bit high, but we'll see, maybe they'll come up. Yeah, we are definitely set too high. But look at that. Look at that fish come up at about 100. A couple fish are coming up. It's always better to be set too high than too low, whatever that's worth. And with that in mind, we're gonna reel it up and we're gonna set it a little lower. Let's give ourselves about 3 feet maybe. 3 extra feet or 4. Let's just do like an arm's length there. That'll get us right in the zone. This is such a juicy presentation. Right about there. 40 feet. Oh yeah, we in the zone. Where's the bait though? Oh. Looks like it got tangled up a little bit. There. Now it'll probably function now that it's not tangled up anymore. Let's see here. Where's the best pod? Right about there. Let's make it a little bit closer. Generally with bobbers and jigs, all of the above, you're generally trying not to cast it too short. If anything, it's better to cast it too long, because you can always pull that bait closer. But where are we at here? Yeah, that wallie's eyeing it up right now. I'll pull that jig a couple feet over to get it in front of these walleyes. Man, they're being tough. What's the deal here, guys? Are you guys too good for a bobber with a leech? I think they're too good for it. They're highly unimpressed by this whole presentation, which is wild. You would think that a bobber with a leech on it would just be the biggest cheat code. And we just plucked couple fish out of this spot here. And I figured I could clean up one or two more of them with the leech. But it didn't happen. Okay, let's keep going here. I think I could even take this a little bit shallower. Just a foot for the next, if I'm gonna make one more cast at some fish up here. How can I not? And there are definitely a pile of fish kind of on this structure here. I like that. We're definitely in the zone. I mean, we're a little close to the fish now, but a lot of times a school that big, it doesn't matter too much. Let's bring this up a couple more feet. Let's flip it basically right off the side of the boat, 20 feet over there. There we go. I guess I was set at a decent depth there. We got one coming up though. Slowly. Oh, and now he's turning back down. Oh, that one's not slowing down. Got it zoomed in so you guys can look a little bit better. Let's reel back in. Drop that bait a couple feet. And make another cast in there. Where they at? Zoom back out so I can see what I'm looking at here. All right, no go. Cast it off the leech on that last one too. All right, we're spending a little bit of time trying to do something that hasn't worked so far, so we're gonna put that puppy down for now. I'm not saying we won't revisit this, but that particular school, I had a few good casts. That last one I had lost my leech on, so that's my excuse on that one. But the rest of these fish, there were a few good opportunities with that bobber that we sort of missed out on. So we're gonna keep on working this little edge here. See if we can pick up a little bit more. Okay, we got the night crawler that just dropped through there. I'm gonna kind of work it across this school. See if we can get him to grab it here. Come on, buddy. Oh, that doesn't feel like a walleye. Not a walleye. We got a pontoon driving right up by us here. but we're gonna keep on rolling. We're gonna keep on running up the side here and see if we can find another pot of fish. Oh gosh, look at that. Or you could just throw right at that again. It's like, how can you not? How can you not cast in there? Just dangle that right above that little pod. Looks like they are moving a little bit on it. They're moving real slow though. Okay, let's keep going. If this was a tournament, I may lean on these fish. If I needed those unders and it was a tournament, I might lean on those fish a little bit harder. But I don't think we need to do that right now. We can keep looking. Those are probably all unders as well. And it would be fun to catch a bigger fish if we can run into something. So that was a decent little spot there. Oftentimes too, you'll find with spots like that, they'll load up on those spots and you can go back and fish those spots over and over again if you wanted. Schools like that obviously can be here today, gone tomorrow, but there's cover there, there's bait there, there's a lot of things that I would say would hold those fish there for a few weeks. And it's also the type of spot. It's such an obvious, good-looking spot, you know, that I think it's the type of spot that probably holds fish every year. But ooh, look at those. That looks like the right kind of thing. Definitely looks like the right kind of thing. Also looks like the type of thing that I wouldn't mind throwing a drop shot at. So I think we're gonna grab the drop shot quick. Let's see, I bet the drop shot worm is all crusty. Yep, the drop shot worm is not functional. We'll get a fresh worm on there. And we'll get in business. This one's getting a little tricky to thread quick. There we go. Okay. Oops. All right. So the only downside, I got like, I think this is a size 1 Gamakatsu. I don't even know what it's called. It's like a G-finesse something or another. The only tricky is just the bend of the hook makes it a little tricky to thread a crawler on. Easy with plastics, of course. That's what they're sort of designed for, but. All right, where are the things that we were trying to look at? So that's definitely a fish right there. We could just flip on this just to see what happens, just for the fun of it. It didn't follow it down. Also, since that fish is right under the boat, wouldn't be a bad time to grab a puppet minnow, drop it on its head. Where's he at? Still right there. No, not interested? No, not interested, or at least not interested enough to go over and swim for it, which a lot of times if they are gonna bite this, they're gonna come over and swim. They would be willing to swim 10 feet for it, 5 feet for it. Okay, let's keep moving. All right, let's find something juicy here. That looks juicy. A few fish right there. They're pretty tight to the bottom, but it's got to be the right way. Like that. That looks a little better. Pull it into the zone here. Let's get another decent cast. This guy's just right here, actually. Right about there, 40. Drop shot is so great because it's just so efficient. Like I was able to basically just drop it right in that group pretty quickly. I do like drop shots for when the fish are closer to bottom. So you can kind of crash it right into the zone really quick and just work it. A lot of times you can't see the bait when it's on the bottom. The target separation on the bottom with live scope is not amazing. I have heard good things about Lowrance for target separation, but not quite as much detail as live scope usually. So you're probably not going to see the bait even though it's a drop shot when it's on the bottom, but you definitely can see it going down. So when you see it going down and crashing, you know it's crashing into the right spot. All you need from there is a walleye to actually look at it. I'm kind of popping it a little bit, trying to get the fish's attention. It's like they do see it. But seeing it doesn't equal biting it, as you will notice. Okay, let's just keep on going then. I always like to have a jig in hand when I am scanning. So I do feel like that is something that I can most easily just take and throw at a suspended fish, a fish on the bottom, basically any of the above. So we're kind of working our way up into like an inside corner here. There's two saddles, or excuse me, there's two pieces of structure. And this is almost like a trough kind of. Oh, look at that. How do you guys like the look of that? There they are at 30. All right, boys, let's see what we got here. Are they gonna go? Is it gonna happen? It's not looking very positive. A little more pontoon action. No go on that cast. Let's whip the drop shot in there quick. Drop shot's just a different look. Sometimes, oh, that got all tangled up. Sometimes it can make a big difference. There we go. Although I do love just slowly floating a jig over the tops of those fish. But let's make a drop shot cast here. A little beyond, which is great. You can just kind of swing that bait into the zone here. All right, where's our next cast gonna be? Let's pull that crawler up a little bit. There they are, a couple Walters. Looks like he is coming in. Oh, one of them grabbed it. Oh, shoot. Popped off. Popped off at the hook. It must have been a pike. Well, pike happened. And pike mean that you have to retie your drop shot rig, which is a lot of things to retie. So let's see here. Let's see if I even want to do this. Is the other question. Where's my drop shot box or my jig box? I might have. I might not have it in here actually. Where are all the hooks? I think I don't have it. Okay, I gotta figure out where that is. That's sort of an important box that I use all the time. Anyway, let's keep moving. We will forget about the drop shot. The drop shot doesn't need to be a tactic we use anymore today, even though it's like my favorite tactic. Let's make a jig cast right in there. The wind died down a little bit, definitely making it a little bit easier to make good, easy, accurate casts. Kind of working it here. This buddy's coming and checking us out too. Is either of them gonna grab the bait? Oh, one's got it. Oh, there we go. Almost felt like he was gonna spit it there. Putting up a little bit of a fight here. Oh, there's another Walter. Another eater size fish. Beauty. All right, oop, I'm gonna reach down and grab him. I have such light line on. I guess this would be a decent time to run through my setup here. Ooh. All right. Beauty. Another perfect eater. High teen size fish. Beauty. Okay, let's run through the whole setup. This is my jig setup. It's my go-to, my favorite setup. And what we got here is we have 1/8 ounce jig for starters. So I like an 1/8 ounce. What's cool about 1/8 ounce is it drops so slow. I know some people who do this technique like to have a 3/16, maybe a 1/4 ounce jig. But for me, I like the 1/8 ounce. And I got some leftover crawler here, and I want to get that off the bait keeper. This is a testament to how well this bait keeper will hold crawler. So if you're using like a traditional, just a wire bait keeper, and you try and do a jig and a crawler, I have found that to be not terribly effective. And so by far, there, I got it. By far my go-to jig this year has been the Smeltinator. And what's cool about the Smeltinator is not only can you choose the weight, but you can also choose the hook size. So I've either been going with a number 1 or a number 2, excuse me, a 1/0 or a 2/0 size hook. So that's just perfect when you're using crawlers. You know, if you're using plastics, like some sort of minnow profile plastic, you know, a 2 or a 3. Usually if you're using a swim bait or a bulkier plastic, 4, 3 or 4 is kind of the range. But 1/8 ounce jig, 6 pound fluorocarbon, and I have, I probably have like 10-12 feet of it. So I've got a bunch of fluorocarbon on here, and then my line is, my main line is like roughly 8 pound braid. Usually I think this one's braid. I've had this, excuse me, I think this is 8 pound. I've had it on here for a few years. And then the rod itself, this one is a 7'2" medium light, and got some line wrap there. This is the Apex Pro series from Tuned Up. So these rods are a little on the pricier side, but they are really, really nice. So that's what I got. I got the braid connected to the fluorocarbon with just a simple uni-to-uni knot. And that's pretty much all you need. The reel is a 2000 size Daiwa ballistic, 2000, 3000, 2500, you know, any of the above will work. So this is a little bit of an older reel, but it's held up good. So that's a quick rundown on the setup. And let's see, we haven't been spot locked, so we've just kind of been drifting. But I'm gonna put another crawler on here. Let's see. This is kind of a little dinky one. I sort of like the big, fat, chunky crawlers. This one's a little, but we'll make them work. We're not gonna be wasting any crawlers in this boat. It threaded on good anyway, but the bait keeper on this Smeltinator is just nuts. It's gotta be the best jig I've used for crawlers. It's got like sort of a conical style bait keeper, and that type of bait keeper is really great with plastics. You know, because it goes on easy even with like a smaller finesse plastic, but same holds true with the crawler. So jigging a crawler, it's perfect on this jig. Our crawler is perfect on this jig. Let's see, there's just a single mark here, so we're gonna have to do some working on them. Is he gonna come over for it? That is the question. Nope. That's one of those slow boys. Let's get our bearings here. I think we wanna turn around, go the other way. With how little wind there was, we actually didn't get moved off too far with not having spot lock on. Little school, like almost right under the boat. Nice pot of fish. But can we get any of them to bite? That is the question. So I don't like to overwork this bait too much. Just because I almost feel like overworking it doesn't generally get you a lot more bites. I'll toss a Ned rig in there just to see if that's a thing. One of the, what can be a negative sometimes is just being, if you're close to fish, that can hurt you sometimes. Let's take a rip at that fish that's out there a little ways. I do like using a plastic because I feel like you can just whip that thing around. Well, they're really crashing it. I like to let the Ned rig go to the bottom usually. Definitely one of the best Ned rig guys I know, Brett McComas. He is religious about letting that Ned rig drop to the bottom when he's chasing walleyes. Oop. Missed one. I had one bump into it there. All right, let's keep moving along. There's a nice bunch of fish. They're right on the edge of that weed clump as I turn the transducer. There definitely could be some bass in these spots too. But obviously there's walleyes to be had. Oh, I missed him, shoot. He thumped it. Thumped it good. The Ned rigs you can work a little bit more aggressively, obviously, and usually they hit it so much harder. They hit it so much harder that you don't even always have to, in fact, I don't let them have it at all, is my strategy. I just hit them as soon as they hit it. It's usually they hit it so hard, you know? But yeah, it's a cool presentation. Can be a fun way to get them. Sometimes they just don't want it. I've seen some lakes where they love it more than just about anything. Mille Lacs Lake, like that is a Ned rig lake. They love the Ned on Mille Lacs. Okay, let's see here. Let's keep going. Let's take a shot at these guys right on the edge of this, right on this wall. Let's reel it up and drop it. Drop it a little closer to this guy. He's coming over to investigate. He says, "What is that big piece of plastic?" Drop it down, see if he follows it down. No, okay. We can keep going here. There's definitely some walleyes sitting in this trough. Nice thing about the Ned as well is the fact that bass are more than willing to bite this thing. So you can be really efficient, throw it around, throw it at a ton of different marks, and you don't necessarily have to worry about, well, you can identify if you're throwing at a bass. We'll just put it that way. But walleyes do like it too. Also, it doesn't seem like this spot has very many bass on it. So, those are the types of spots I like. A lot of times you'll fish spots where, oh, I like that. A lot of times you'll fish spots where there's bass, kind of up shallow, and then there's walleyes. There's walleyes out off the edges. Those spots can be difficult because sometimes you'll catch walleyes in some of those bassy looking zones, and that can make things a little tricky. Watch me catch a bass as soon as I say that there doesn't appear to be very many bass in this spot. All right, let's get another pitch in there. Right about there. Right in the zone. Ooh. Just had one holding on to the back there. They're not cracking it like they normally would, which is a bit of an issue. And when I say that, I don't mean like they're easy to catch with this all the time, but I'm saying like when they do bite it, it's a lot more common to have them hit it hard, if that makes sense. Okay. Square up that school one more time. There's my bait. Right there, out at 50. There we go. Got one to go that time. Ooh. What do we got here? Oh no. Oh no. Well, that ain't right. Finally got one to go on my bass bait, and it was a bass. Stinking rocky. Okay, how about this? Let's try out a new spot. Not because I'm, oh, this crawler supply is gone. Not because I don't think we couldn't catch another mess of walleyes here, but because I want to try something different. Another something different. Okay. Let's see. We'll probably fast forward through the drive into the boat thing here. All right, next spot here. Ooh. Okay. Let's see what we got in this area. This is probably going to look a little different than anything we've fished so far today. The snake crawler's edgy now. It's getting a little dried out. We're going to switch him out. So we don't want to give up a good fish catching opportunity because the bait's not right. So get him off of there. Okay. So we're going to freshen up our bait. I don't know... we'll see what this spot ends up looking like. I guess I'm feeling optimistic, but you never know. It's always good to have PMA, positive mental attitude. Ooh, these snake crawlers are incredible. big and juicy. This has got big walleye written all over it. So we'll see what this spot looks like. This time of year, if I had to guess, just based on the depths and the area of the lake, I'm kind of gonna assume there's gonna be some more weeds. Yeah, there's definitely some weeds for sure. The depth is not registering. Is that a big walleye close to the surface, right by the boat? No, it's that bait. Okay. Let's see what we got in this little area. Actually, not very much weeds. There's a lone wolf walleye. I kind of like the look of him. Oh, that's a nice mark. Well, we're shallower, so everything looks a little bit bigger, but let's get lined up and make sure we make a really good cast at this guy for the first fish of the spot. That's a good cast. I'm gonna slow that bait down a little bit. So I think we pretty much dropped it in his face, but he's got it anyway. All right. Well, you're kind of seeing the power of moving. Try a different spot. Try some, leave fish to find fish. It's always a good idea, right? This might be bigger, possibly. It feels a little bigger. Where's my net? I do have a net in here, that helps. This is probably a netter-sized fish. Ooh, oh wow. Oh, that's big. Oh, come on. I had his head up. There we go. That's a nice one right there. Oh yeah. That's a better fish. You could tell in the live scope. Even though it was shallow, even though we were a little shallower in depth, you could still tell that that was a bigger fish. And wow, he came right over and lunched the jig, man. Look at that fish. Come on, show some fin. We'll give her a quick dip. Ooh. There we go. Look at that beauty. Beauty, beauty. And it only took us about a second. One decent cast. And we got a nice walleye on the board. And there she goes, kicks right off. Ooh. Whew. Well, that was fun. That was a better fish. Maybe this area right here actually has some better fish. It feels nice to bust out the net. That's a fun change up versus the, borderline boat flippers. The question is, does this jig have enough meat on it left for another fish? I think it does. All right, so that was cool. We're gonna keep on fishing. I like that a lot. Is the live scope still on? Is that still recording? It looks like it, yes. The map is still recording. Okay, we're still good. Let's keep fishing. Looks like a school of bait type looking stuff. Let's see if we can see any more of those big marks. That doesn't exactly scream big mark right there, but it does have some walleye vibes to it. At 50. There it is. Yeah, with that big fish, that was cool. That thing just came up and inhaled the jig. Just grabbed it on the fall. There was no doubt about that one. There we go, we got another one. This is what it's supposed to be like, guys. Ooh, easy, buddy, easy. I don't even know that this one's bigger. It just might have a better attitude. Well, it is a walleye. No, this is just a real angry under. Ooh, there we go. No offense to Lunkers TV, the YouTube, or not Lunkers, Lake Fork guy, the YouTube sensation. He came up to Rainy Lake and he was boga gripping every fish. If you want to hold a walleye, you can grab them by the back of the head there. You can grab them under the gill plate. Obviously, like when he's flared up like this, if you try and grab him like this, you can get stuck. But if you have your hand moving in this direction, coming downwards to grab behind his neck, that's an easy way to grab these fish. So no boga grip required for walleyes. And hand landing walleyes is very easy as well. So for most fish, I'm not gonna grab the net. And if it's a big fish, I'm gonna grab the net. Because I have 6 pound test and I don't wanna lose my line. But, or excuse me, I don't wanna lose my jig and I don't wanna lose a big fish specifically. But for fish that are like under 20, I'm probably gonna go down and grab it. And if it's small enough, I'll probably just boat flip it too, even with 6 pound test. You don't have to be too worried about using light line. Line is so much stronger than you think, more often than not. But you know, if you do have like abrasion on it or whatever, that can be an issue. Look, there's walleyes just waiting for us. They're just waiting. Look, and now he's coming up for it. Is he just gonna thump it, or is his buddy gonna thump it? Are neither of them gonna thump it? That would be the worst. That would be the worst of the possible scenarios. Okay, we're gonna cast at them again, because first of all, they looked like better marks. This is a big, fat, juicy night crawler too. Were those? No, that's weeds. Ooh, wait, what about that guy? Is that a big, long weed? Maybe. Okay, well, where did those little marks go that were close? Right about, okay. Let's keep moving. We're in a fishy area. Don't get too fixated on anything, any one thing. Although it's not gonna break my heart if I can make one quick cast at that little mark. Oh geez, terrible cast. Let's keep going. For some reason I was thinking those fish were in front of the boat like they are right now. Not off to the side. Okay, let's keep going. Some taller weeds over here. Any fish around those weeds? Not that I can see. Oh, there's a couple. Got glare on the screen. We can still get a cast off here. Working them. Hope he's got it. There we go. Ooh. They're fighting tough. This is a good little spot. This is actually a boat flipper. Let's not get too crazy. I mean, boat flipping them is a little crazy. But, okay. All right. Another one on the old jig. There we go. Just another eater size fish right there. Okay, let's see here. Let's do something different. Let's do a, what can we tie up next? I'm gonna tie up a jig. And we're gonna do some plastics, jig and plastic setup. Can just be a really efficient way to move through fish and just pump through fish. So I'm gonna tie up something quick here. I'm gonna do, let's do a tungsten jig. We can probably do an 1/8 ounce. Let's see, should we do that new olive color? Oh, that's a long shank, okay. Let's do, gold. A gold head. Let's tie it up on the drop shot rod since we're not tying up a drop shot. I gotta figure out where my drop shot hooks are. That bothers me. But let's take advantage of that rod. So we're gonna put a short shank tungsten jig on there. All right. Give him the old Palomar knot. My favorite knot for almost everything. In my drop shot video that I did last summer, I said the Palomar is the only knot you can use for drop shot fishing, and that's not entirely true, but it's the only one that I would personally recommend, especially to large groups of people, just because it's so much easier to tie than just about anything else that you may want to throw at a walleye, or excuse me, tie. I don't know what I'm talking about now. It's a lot easier to tie than any of the other knots that you would use for a drop shot rig. My brain went somewhere else there. Okay, so I'm gonna rig this up. These can be a little tricky to rig. Sometimes it takes a couple times to get it straight. Especially a little microplastic like this. But a little bit of practice and you can get it most of the time pretty easy. That should be good. Okay, so with this plastic, this TPE type plastic, you kind of got to snap it up on there, and actually put a little bit too much out, so I'm going to pull it down a little bit. I didn't line it up the first time. There we go. Okay, that should be perfect. So I'm gonna pull that puppy up. I pulled it all the way over the jig head. Okay, pull that up like that. You probably could pull it over the jig head. It probably would work good. And now we're set. So let's see, what camera should I show this to? Maybe this one? This is the little profile. So I got the jig and leech on there. Green pumpkin, I love green pumpkin plastics. And then I got a gold head. So we'll see. It might not be as automatic as a crawler, but it's the type of presentation I won't have to re-rig it all the time. We actually might catch more fish because I don't have to re-rig. There's one right under the boat, of course. Let's see. I'm not a big fan of the ones right directly under the boat, just because I've always found that they're usually a little skittish right here. Okay, let's keep moving. Okay, let's see here. Oh, there's a lot of them under the boat. What about that? Is that a little school of walleye? Let's get our bearings here. Got loons around us. We got nice tall stalks of cabbage, which is just beautiful. I love the way this spot is laying out. Let's run out. Let's run over this direction a little bit. There's a little bit of deeper water on either side of us here. You probably noticed too on the map that I have a waypoint here, so I kind of cheated. I brought us to a spot that I actually know a little something about. And, well, you know I haven't been to it recently, because I probably would have took you guys to it sometime in the first hour of the video. But this is a spot I have caught them before. Let's see here. There's one, of course, right below the boat by now. Yeah, dude, that thing's pretty close already. Right below the boat, and the fish is investigating it for sure. Those don't necessarily scream like walleye marks, but okay. We can keep going. We don't have to get too fixated on the fish directly underneath the boat. Let's see, a lot of short weed on the bottom there. Let's work our way in this direction. It seems like a lot of the fish were behind us now in this direction. But let's just explore a little bit. Funny, if I'd have dropped the boat right here, we wouldn't have caught fish right away. But since I put this plastic on, you can't blame the plastic so far. Oh. Looks like a few fish. Doesn't scream walleye. Or is that just weed? Little weeds popping out of the tip there. That looks like a little bass. Oop. Okay, we're gonna turn around. We're gonna go back in that area where there were some more walleyes. We gotta put the plastic to the test. The night crawler was pretty hot and heavy for a minute there. So we gotta see if the plastic will hold up. All right, so we're getting pretty far in the video now. So if you've watched these before, you know what that means. That means it's emoji time. Now, if you've watched this far into the video, I don't do this for the algorithm. I don't do it, you know, to get more likes and comments and blah, blah, blah. I just want to know how many of you are watching this late into the video. and I don't have a timer on any of this, but if you've watched this far into the video, let's see, what kind of emoji should we drop in the comments? How about, let's see. How about sad face emojis only? So just do emojis that are either sad or mad or, I don't know, just some cranky looking emojis. If you drop an emoji like that in the comments, I know you've watched this far. And like I said, I don't do it for the algorithm. I think it probably does help in the algorithm, although I think the algorithm would prefer longer, more thoughtful comments. This does not look like walleyes to me. Longer, more thoughtful comments, but you never know. It might help with the algorithm, but I just want to know who the loyal folks are who are watching, you know, hour and a half, 2 hours into this. I don't even know why I casted at that. What I want to cast at is something bigger. Okay. So now, let's see, are we sneaking our way back into the area where we dropped the boat originally? I think we are. We stuck too many fish, we scared them out of there. Is that a big tall weed or is that a suspended fish? Looks like a weed. Okay. The wind is kicked up a little bit. Sometimes that can help. Where are those walleyes at though? They disappeared on us. There's one. And it doesn't even look big. Not something to get you too inspired. I can't even barely get him like red on the, it might not even be a walleye. Can't even get him red on the, unless he's looking right at us. The bait looks bigger than that thing does. Yeah, that was silly. Yeah, we just gotta look around here. There were walleyes floating around over here 10 minutes ago. Is that a little pot of them out at the end there? Is that more? Is that bait? It's so fuzzy. Well, either way, we're gonna cast at it. Eventually. Oh my gosh, look at that stuff flying up at it. That can't be walleyes. Not a walleye. Jeez, it's got a good attitude though. It's got to be a little rock bass, right? Yep. Not a walleye. Very decidedly not a walleye. Best thing, I don't have to retie. Oh, the thing is a little slimy. Ooh. All right. Don't have to retie. Can't beat that. Oh, there's a couple marks. Are those the same thing? You can really see a tungsten jig good on here. I may have to switch over to using the tungsten more versus the smeltonator for jig and crawler setups. It's just deadly how well you can see the tungsten on here. He won't commit. Followed it up. Not sure we're dealing with walleyes here. We might be though. Okay. Keep on moving on. Haven't had really a super good opportunity yet with this plastic, or I shouldn't say opportunity, but a super good, you know, cast on a fish or whatever that I thought was money, or like a pod of fish, kind of like we were seeing earlier when we first pulled up here. See if there's anything close to the bottom here. Oh, there was just one big fish though sitting there waiting for us, wasn't there? Just a nice suspendo. Let's head over in this direction and just see if there's any fish over here. Kind of moving fast. If there are some smaller fish, I could miss them, you know, but that's okay. Let's see what these are. It's not reading very thick yet, but I still think we might be dealing with the right species here. All right, let's make a cast in there and find out. Yeah, that looks good. There we go. Walleye, maybe? Yes, sir, we got us a walleye. So this is my drop shot rig. I do kind of like to run 8-pound tests with plastics, but this is my drop shot rod, so I do still have 6-pound. So there we go. We got us a good old bona fide plastic eater right there. Ugh. And best part, I'm ready for the next cast. Don't gotta put another stupid night crawler on there. Okay, let's see. There's still a few fish poking around here in the area. Straighten out the boat. Feet over there. Missed him by a little bit, but it looks like are they swimming over? Yeah. Let's pop that bait in place there. It's following it. So now you can work these baits a little bit more aggressively than you would a night crawler. That fish is actually still all over it. Okay. Let's make another cast. I like that mark. Is that a little short? The boat was turning. Make another cast at that guy. A pair of guys. Look at him following it. No go. No go. They have the right attitude though. I do appreciate that. Let's see, where's he at? 40. Is that a little to the left there? No, that's pretty good. Dropping in the zone. Can I get him to turn up for it? He's not liking that. I'm gonna drop it to the bottom and see if he'll eat it off the bottom. A lot of times a jig in a plastic setup, you know, you can either get him to crack it like that, or it's just better to let him eat off the bottom. You don't want to force it one way or the other. There we go. He just wanted it on the bottom, guys. He just wanted it on the bottom. That's all. Oh no. Oh crud. These are not the droids you're looking for. These are the other type of droids. The green droids. We're looking for gold droids. Ugh. It's a bass, so you gotta boat flip them. Doesn't matter that we got 6-pound test. And you know what? This would have been a tournament legal fish too, because it was on a plastic, not on a night crawler. Okay. So that was a bass. No wonder why they had such good attitudes. The way they charged up at the bait. I mean, this is like a bona fide finesse bass plastic, honestly. But I had a lot of success with this bait this spring on Mille Lacs. So this is the new jig and leech, and they just released this thing publicly within the last week or so. Northland in that eye candy lineup deal. But yeah, so they just released this bait. But this spring we got to use it a decent amount, and I just creamed them on Mille Lacs with it. We did a video even on Northland's channel. So I like this bait. Don't tell those guys this, and I don't know if they'd like me saying it, but I actually think this is their best profile. The best profile they have in the whole lineup is this jig and leech. I just think it's the perfect little finesse deal. I think like if you compare it to the 3-inch minnow was a very good like finesse profile before this. But now this thing is like a little easier to hook than I'm gonna reel up because I saw that better mark right there. That 3-inch minnow was tougher to hook. This one is easier to hook. It has a lot of the benefits of, see, I don't know why I threw at that fish. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to talk and tie my shoes at the same time. If I can just actually focus for 2 seconds, I can actually make these casts sometimes. This thing's all over it. Come on, buddy. Tag it. You don't have to smell it first. He's really following it high. Sometimes walleyes do that. It's not always a bass when they follow it halfway up to the surface. Sometimes it is, but I've had walleyes do that. I'm feeling confident still, guys. Oh shoot, I missed him. Got him halfway up again. Should I drop it back down? Come get me down here. I dare ya. Eh. He didn't take the dare. Okay, so we got a walleye and a bass on this plastic so far. I mean, it's a start, right? There's one right under the boat there, but let's see if we can get one up. Maybe there's one hanging out over by these cabbage weeds. Is there one on the back side of it there? Oh, a couple? Oh yeah. That's the kind of thing we're looking for right there. Perfectly positioned too. It's positioned upwind. We can make a good solid cast. In fact, let's get off the trolling motor right now. Slow the roll. Throw right into that dang pod. Let's get a little bit closer, just to like another 10 feet. Okay, line that puppy up, and there we go. There's definitely, got the bait close enough there, and they were following it. Oh shoot. Had it on a weed there. I didn't super glue this bait. These tungsten jigs usually can hold the plastics really well, even without super glue. All right, I'm getting a little quiet in the chat now. I guess I'm focusing or something. There's a nice single there. Tough angle, but I think I made it decent enough cast. I was a few feet off. A little too far off. Let's charge that mark a little bit. God, there's still a few sitting right behind that cabbage there. I still want to make a good cast at that thing. It's right there. It's sitting right in front of their face. Crash it down to bottom. Okay, let's refresh. Make another cast. Casting angles matter. That's probably the best cast yet. Oh shoot. They're just kind of grabbing it. They're not munching it good. They're kind of eating it like they would eat a crawler. I almost never give the fish the bait when I'm using plastics. But this might be one of those one Mississippi type bites. Yeah, you pulled the back down again. They're eating it. They're just not absolutely crunching it. I guess a smaller finesse profile like this, that does make some type of sense. All right, how do we tangle this here? There we go. Okay. Yeah, Yeah, with a profile like this, I could see how maybe they wouldn't hit it as hard. They're kind of right on the edge of those weeds now. It's got to be even a little bit more precise with the cast. Right there. That dog will hunt. There's one right all over it right now. Okay, last cast with the plastic, and then we'll see if a night crawler is just going to be automatic. I do like that mark out there a little further though. But one more cast in here. We're kind of up on top of them now. Let's make a cast at that big suspendo. It might be a bigger hungry single mark up there. Sitting right on the edge of that tuft of weed. "60 feet. Try not to get too close, but want to make a good cast. 50. Close enough. Just gonna kind of swing it slowly down here. We're gonna lose sight of them in the edge of those weeds there, but just kind of charging the boat now. Okay, we're gonna change it up. We're going back to a crawler. We got a walleye and a bass on the jig and leech, which is an okay little run there. But we had one school of fish that I felt like would have been a really good candidate that we couldn't get to go. So we're switching back to the meat. And these are just, these are the best crawlers I've ever seen. They're so fat. I almost feel like this is just like the greatest possible presentation right now. I mean, they're so unbelievably thick. They look like Lincoln logs. Okay, so we'll thread him up here. Push that up the bait keeper. And God, this one's really long too. I have to pinch off like half of it. That is like, I mean, this is just the best night crawler I've ever seen. So big and juicy. So perfect. Okay, back in the saddle. Pun intended. Looks like there's a couple fish right on the back side of that clump there. Not showing up huge on the screen. So I don't know if we're gonna target those. Let's see if we can find something that looks big fat and hungry. So there's like a floating weed right there in front of us. Is that gonna be a big fish right there, or is that gonna be a little pot of bait? Still don't have a red return yet. Oh, there's 2 fish there. Okay, this is the right kind of mark you're looking for when you're doing this. I'm still gonna try and get a little closer though. I wanna make a very, very, very good cast. Looks like 2 fish, but we'll see. Pretty good cast. I would say pretty good. 2 marks. They're big too. One's got it. Well, we'll see if they're big. I hate to say like they're big and then it doesn't feel that big, but a guy can get excited. I think that's okay. It is a walleye. Well, you know, but it's like, I don't know if I've ever seen a mark that wasn't so obviously a walleye. Oh, and my line popped. As this thing was bumping around. The jig popped off the line. But we got us another Walter. That was a little bit of a mean throw. I didn't need to throw him like that. He's doing fine though. Okay. We gotta retie the jig. Even the little ones, when they're flopping around on the ground like that, they aren't gonna generally have a super hard problem popping that line off if you don't give them some slack. There we go. I'm gonna need a scissor to pull that knot out or I won't be able to retie this, so that's gonna be the next mission. Okay. All right. I haven't lost this jig though since I tied it up. I probably had this jig tied up for, I don't even know, 4 or 5 trips. And this is just that 1/8 ounce Smeltinator with this one actually has a 2/0 hook. So a little bit bigger than the 1/0 that I like to use with the crawler. But I have been targeting some bigger fish normally this past week. So that is kind of the reason for the bigger hook. But let's see, get him all tied up. There we go, Palomar knot. I don't know the name of this color either, but it's got all white on the bottom, and then it's got like a gold silver stripe in the middle and then black on the top. So it's kind of a cool color. I don't know for sure how important color is, but I think in a presentation like this, you know, you can't go wrong with something really natural like that. But then sometimes you get more bites, you know, if you have a brighter head, like a chartreuse or a pink, even blue. Blue kind of skirts the edge of either being natural or bright. You know, like a brighter blue. It can be kind of natural if you're thinking like, you know, imitating minnows and stuff like that. But with the Nightcrawler on, I would consider that to be a little bit of a brighter color. Another color that can be really cool too is purple. Purple almost has its own natural vibes with Nightcrawlers. You don't think of Nightcrawlers as purple, but Nightcrawlers kind of have, they sort of glisten. Let's see, is there a fish kind of poking right in the middle of that? It's a scary spot to throw because it's a place where Bass like to hang out in big clumps of weeds like that, and they don't show themselves until you fire a jig in there. What was I gonna say? Yeah, purple. So purple is almost kind of natural too. Just if you really kind of analyze what a nightcrawler looks like, it has purple vibes, and that has big walleye vibes right there, or at least I shouldn't say big, you know, but it has walleye vibes. It's definitely a walleye. I don't usually run at 120 feet either. I usually go 110. Up in the weeds like this though too, I don't even necessarily have to have it this far even either. Right there at about 50. That's a good cast. Thing's following it down to the bottom. I probably should have danced it in its face, but I decided to go for the fall strategy there. The fish was definitely aggressive. There we go. A lot of these fish that are poised up a little higher, I'm noticing are more aggressive, which makes me want to not target some of these schools, because we've definitely seen like some schools of walleyes or little pods of walleyes. And it seems like so far, the single individual marks on this spot specifically, the single individual marks have been more aggressive. Yeah, that's a nice walleye. Nice solid fish. I got a better under. Easy. Well, they got the really good attitude. Holy cow. I'm not gonna eat you, buddy. I'm not gonna eat you. I might be able to even salvage that nightcrawler. All right. Just another little, like a little bit of a bigger under. Just a beauty right there. Not bad. Let's see if I can salvage that crawler. I think I can. We can probably still work with this guy. Yep, that dog will hunt still. It's still a hunter. It's not too long in the tooth yet. One more walleye and that crawler will be a goner though. Oh, there we go. What happened to my sea legs? Okay, what else? Is that a big weed clump? Yeah, that's a big weed clump right on the edge there. Let's see, how long have we been doing this? Does it say on here? I think we're north of 2 hours now. We could think about wrapping this puppy up. Oh, but there's more walleyes I need to catch. Maybe I should catch that one. What do you guys think? It's not reading as big as the last couple marks. And the last couple marks weren't exactly huge fish. I'm not even gonna cast at it. It almost feels like it could be a bass or something. What about that guy? We could probably cast at that guy, huh? That guy looks good. He's not poised up halfway up the water column, and he's swimming away from me, which doesn't help. But he's still got it. Oh, shoot. Felt like yeah, I think we had a bluegill pop up that I didn't see. Is that another walleye right out there? Yeah, it looks like it. I gotta get a fresh crawler though. Looks like there's some people doing a trolling pass coming up here though. It's been a quiet day on the lake. It's been kind of nice not having too many people. It's always more awkward when you're filming and you got kind of people in the area. There we go. All right, let's get this crawler rigged up. Another nice fat juicy crawler. I know you guys probably love me just commenting on how fat and juicy these crawlers have been. There we go. Thread that up all the way. So much nasty gunk on your hands. Up there right out in front of us now. The wide angle lens never really does it justice, but they're about 2 casts in front of us. All right, where is that? Oh, there's that suspendo. About 100 feet up. Not too far behind the back of their boat, actually. Looks like are they just on a, do they even have lines out, or are they just cruising? They must be trolling. All right, but we're gonna continue our trek up to this walleye right here. This suspendo. These guys almost drove over the top of this fish. Let's see if we can catch him. He didn't want their crankbait. Maybe she'll want a big juicy crawl or... All right, where's she at? Wow, oh, there she goes. Give it to her a second. There we go. Well, it wouldn't eat their crankbait. They were trolling out there on the edge. But she just wanted a night crawler, man. Just wanted a jig. Not a big. But they probably wouldn't have minded grabbing this guy for dinner. Perfect, like 15, 16 incher. Would have been a good dinner walleye, but guess what? This guy's gonna go back. I'll come back to this lake and harvest some fish some other time. Don't worry, guys. I'm not a pure catch and release fisherman, but today we're catching and releasing. And how about this? How about we end it? We end this video on that catch. I'm gonna go out here and, I mean, I would consider this to be fun fishing, but I'm gonna go out and fun fish, maybe try and find some fish that I can throw some bobbers on. And yeah, anyway, you guys don't need to know about my plans. You guys just have to stay tuned and you'll see the next video. But I've been meaning to do like a full-blown bobber breakdown, like everything you need to know, like all of the components, the weight that I like, the just the tactics that I use to catch fish when I'm bobber fishing. Bobbers are great, and we only use bobbers for, you know, just a second out here today, but they're very, very effective, and they've really picked up a lot of steam and popularity with forward-facing sonar. But anyway, I don't even know why I'm getting into this whole spiel. We're just wrapping this video up here. So I lost track of how many fish we caught. It was pretty good, more than a limit for sure. A lot of fun. We had that one nice decenter fish and then a good amount of eaters. So I would say all in all, that was a good fun run. And thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. This is so, I mean, it's gonna be a really long video. So if you watched this far, I'm impressed. So I don't have any further asks. Usually I'll put like a video over here. Maybe I should just put a video right here. Let's throw another one of these hour-long videos. I'll put it right here. If you watch all these 2-hour-long videos or whatever, then you've already seen this one. But if you haven't, and you just randomly found this video on the internet and you want to see more like it, I'll put one right here and one right there. So there's 2 of them right there you can pick from. They're both fun. I mean, you know, the first one was on Mille Lacs, the other one was on a stocked walleye lake, and there was just some good action. So check one of these 2 out.